welcome to the September 22nd, 2024 episode of Nick's News. I am your host, Nick. Brought to you by Some Budget Studios. That's right, I am putting some money into this project of mine, finally. We're on every Sunday, and I thank you all so much for tuning in or catching the replay on the Nick's News Facebook page or the YouTube page. That's right, we are dual streaming between Facebook and YouTube. Hooray! This is a program dedicated to bringing good news to counter all of the bad news that we are bombarded with on a daily basis, with the hope of bringing a little bit of joy back into the world. Several of our articles are pulled from goodnewsnetwork.org, but we appreciate all the articles sent in by you, the viewers. And my phone is blowing up. Just a moment while I silence my phone. Just throw it across the room. So, yeah, if my voice is a little shot, it's because I have just returned from a LARP, and I am a little... I'm losing it, so we're going to do our best. The Facebook and the YouTube chats are going. Hello to everybody. Yep, Lilith, of course, called me out because I'm late starting up, and Julie followed up, but yeah, we are going. All right, so. Oh, Desiree says that their good news was getting to hang with me this weekend. I appreciate that, Desiree. Thank you very much. Oh, boy. All right, let's get into this. I need to obviously wet my whistle, so let's look at our news brew. And our news brew for today is double chocolate chunk oatmeal raisin cookie. This is from Decadent Ales, which is currently, as producer Donna and I found out, going through a little bit of legal trouble. So there's not a website posted for them. It's just the Untapped for this specific beer. So this is an 11.8% ABV Imperial Stout, and it's brewed with pretty much everything you'd expect in a double chunk oatmeal raisin cookie. And based on their name, this should be a very decadent brew. So we are going to use my Harpoon Brewery Anniversary Snifter. And let's crack this can open. We won't need the Balisong bottle opener. I see that there's a shout-out request. When we get to shout-outs, I'll take a look at that. I do see it, Julie. I do see it. The chats are a little screwy right now. Just a moment while I fix things up. Still working on getting the chat system to work better for Nick's News. Oh my gosh, I hate the Facebook chat one. The Facebook chat one is a piece of crap. There we go. Okay. So, the theatrics of a 5-minute pour. Oh my gosh, it's motor oil. I don't know if the camera's picking up that really well. That is very dark brown head against very black beer. And good to the last drop. Come on. I get all of that out of there. Wow, it's thick. Head cleared up pretty fast on that. Wow. Hello, Charlie. And we've got Caucasian Sasquatch Riven Skyfire showing up in the YouTube. Very cool. Yeah. All right. Let's get into our shout-outs. So if you want some fine wine or cider, head on over to Fox Hen Vineyards in Grand Haven, Michigan. They're open Fridays and Saturdays from 1 p.m. to 8 p.m. No, I do not have some sort of sponsorship with them. I just plug them any chance I get because they're fantastic. I should be there this Friday between 5 and 7 p.m. So if you want some good wine, some good cider, and to hang out with me and you're in the Grand Haven area, swing on over to Fox and Hen Vineyards. So to them, cheers. It's an oatmeal raisin cookie with a lot of chocolate slammed into it. Holy crap. It took a moment for like the flavor to process. And then all of a sudden it was like, haha, ha. It's good. I'm having dessert for, I'm drinking my dessert tonight. Hi, Eliza. Julie says she might be able to make it to Fox and Hen. That'll be cool. Hey, anybody that makes it out is great. I love supporting them. Let's see. What do we got for our next shout out? So, again, I just came from a LARP. What LARP was that? It was Waypoint LARP, located in Muskegon, Michigan. It was absolutely fantastic. It was their third event of the year. I had a blast with everybody, staff, players. Everyone was on their A game. It was a great time, great weekend. So, to Waypoint LARP, cheers. Speaking of LARPs, another shout out, there is a new one that's going to be starting in the Muskegon, Michigan area. That LARP is called Silent Stars. One of our Nick's newsies, Cassidy, is actually one of the showrunners for it. She's been setting it up and will be running it as part of the staff. I'm really looking forward to it. It is a, what is it? I took their write-up, and I'm going to read it. It is a new LARP in the Muskegon, Michigan area, hoping to create an immersive experience that is a blend of both boffer and parlor-style LARPs. And it captures the best of both worlds. And there is a link in the description. So to Silent Stars for kicking off. Cheers. Ooh, Julie just made an apple pie, a low sugar apple pie tart. That sounds great. Following up from Nick's news last time, from a shout out from the last episode, the votes have been tallied for John Ball Zoo's new snow leopard cub's name, and the winner is Mera, pronounced M-A-R-E-A-H, Mera. Instead of it's spelled Mera, pronounced Mera. They're named after a mountain peak in the Himalayas, which is a native area where snow leopards are found. So to Mera and to John Ball Zoo and their new snow leopard cub. Cheers. Oh, what's going on? Donna's doing some. Producer Donna is editing my readout in real time, and I keep seeing things move. Last shout out we're gonna do. I think she's adding the shout out. So we're going to do a shout out for the Sweet and Nutty Guy. This was proposed by Julie for their phenomenal fall market. And Rob proposed to Steven this weekend. So to Rob and Steven, congratulations and great work at the fall market for the Sweet and Nutty Guy. Cheers. I hope I said all that right. Producer Donna shouts she's helping. And there will be a link in the description for the Sweet and Nutty Guy and their Facebook. News quote. I really like this one. I think it fits with the camaraderie theme and the fact I just came from a LARP and got to hang out with so many friends. In the sweetness of friendship, let there be laughter and sharing of pleasures. For in the dew of little things, the heart finds its morning and is refreshed. That is from Khalil Gibran, who was a Lebanese-American writer, poet, philosopher, even though they didn't claim they were a philosopher, and a visual artist, and they're better known as the author of a piece called The Prophet. And that quote again, in the sweetness of friendship, let there be laughter and sharing of pleasures. For in the dew of little things, the heart finds its morning and is refreshed. Thank you, Khalil Gibran. Cheers, everybody. This is a real good beer. 2/10 off from being high octane. I'm going to fall asleep real well tonight. Bug update. My bugs are doing very well. While I was gone, Elmira collapsed a section of her own tunnel, it looks like, and filled it in, and then started working on building a new tunnel, which I can't see into. So she's building this very continuous and complex network of tunnels and passages. And according to producer Donna, she's digging around like a confused Minecraft player. So she's doing really well, though. I'm really happy that all my bugs are doing well. Came back to a good bug world. So, all right. Let me double check chat again. And otherwise, we are good to start getting into the news. Our good news. Now, our broadcast is broken up into 4 major categories. And those categories are science and technology, health and medicine, flora and fauna, aka plants and animals, and the wholesome notes, those really nice articles we like to end on that make you feel things. So, sorry. We are going to start with our first category, science and technology. And we're going to start with an article I called Sci-Fi to Sci-Real. I will copy and paste this in the chats if y'all want to read along. And hopefully my voice won't give out on me before this night is over. New carbon fiber batteries could form the actual framework of cars and airplanes. Cars and planes could soon be built from the world's strongest batteries, thanks to a groundbreaking innovation from Chalmers University of Technology in Sweden. Researchers detailed the advance of so-called massless energy storage and a structural battery that could cut the weight of a laptop by 50%. Make mobile phones as thin as a credit card, or increase the driving range of an EV by up to 70% on a single charge. This is crazy. So this article comes from goodnewsnetwork.org. It was posted on September 15th of 2024. When cars, planes, ships, or computers are built from a material that functions as both a battery and a load-bearing structure, the weight and energy consumption are radically reduced. We have succeeded in creating a battery made of carbon fiber composite that is as stiff as aluminum and energy dense enough to be used commercially, says Chalmers researcher Rika Chaudhry, the first author of a paper recently published in Advanced Materials. Just like a human skeleton, the battery has several functions at the same time. When it comes to vehicles, there are high demands on the design to be sufficiently strong to meet safety requirements. There, the research team's structural battery cell has significantly increased its stiffness, or more specifically, the elastic modulus. For those of us in the engineering field, we know a lot about that term and its importance, which is measured in gigapascals, or GPa, from 25 to 70. This means that the material can carry loads just as well as aluminum, but with a lower weight. Elastic modulus is really well used for the ability of a material to support and carry a load. So yeah, being in the 25 to 70 gigapascal range, doing about as well as aluminum, but clearly saving some in the weight department, which is really neat. In terms of multifunctional properties, the new battery is twice as good as its predecessor, and actually the best ever made in the world, said research leader Leif Asp, professor at the Department of Industrial and Materials Science at Chalmers. Charlie is commenting on my LARP voice in the Facebook chat, and Lily says, aluminum in a bum. Aluminum. Investing in light, energy-efficient vehicles is a matter of course if we are to economize on energy and think about future generations. We have made calculations on electric cars that show that they could drive up to 70% longer than today if they had competitive structural batteries. The team said the goal was always to achieve a performance that makes it possible to commercialize the technology. The link to the market has been forged through the newly started Chalmers venture company called Synonis, and they've received a great deal of interest from the automotive and aerospace industries. However, there's still a lot of engineering work to be done before the battery cells have taken the step from lab manufacturing on a small scale to being produced on a large scale for our vehicles. It will require large investments to meet the transport industry's challenging energy needs, but this is also where the technology could make the most difference, added Professor Asp. So that is really cool to everybody at the Chalmers University of Technology in Sweden for working on carbon fiber batteries that you can make whole cars and planes out of. Cheers. Lilith is stuck. If somebody could help her, it would be appreciated. So with that, we're going to move from science and technology. We're going to move to health and medicine. And I called this one, Paper Cranes Are So Last Year. I will copy and paste this into the chat if y'all want to read along. New $1 test using origami paper sensors can detect infectious diseases like COVID with just a mobile phone. This was posted in goodnewsnetwork.org on September 21st of 2024. A cheap new test using origami paper sensors can help detect infectious diseases, such as COVID-19, much earlier and easier than current methods, says scientists. The innovative method identifies biomarkers in wastewater, enabling rapid tracking of diseases using the camera in a mobile phone, and costs only $1 for each use. Cranfield University researchers in England built on work conducted during the COVID pandemic, saying the new test device could dramatically change how public health measures are directed in any future pandemics. Testing wastewater is one of the main ways to assess the prevalence of infectious diseases. Scientists take samples from water treatment plants nationwide and use the results to understand which areas have the highest infection rates, a method that was used during the COVID-19 pandemic. Professor Zhugen Yang led the development of the new Sentinel sensors, working with scientists from the University of Glasgow and Zhejiang University in China. He began the research in 2020 to develop a test to detect the SARS-CoV-2 virus, influenza A, and influenza B in wastewater using a paper-based platform and ultraviolet torch or a phone camera. Until now, the most accurate ways of testing wastewater samples have been methods like the PCR test, polymerase chain reaction, which must be conducted in centralized laboratories by well-trained personnel. However, that means the samples are collected, stored, and transported under refrigeration to the lab location before being processed, which can take several days and is comparatively expensive. Professor Yang described the new test in the journal Cell Reports Physical Science, calling it rapid, user-friendly, and portable. Wastewater samples are placed onto a wax-printed paper sheet which is folded in an origami style. The paper contains chemicals that react to certain disease markers, triggering a fluorescent color to emerge. Using a phone camera, the results can be read and the data collected and easily shared. This could be a real game changer when it comes to predicting disease rates and improving public health in the face of future pandemics. The simple test we have developed costs just £1 and uses the commonly available camera function in a mobile phone, making it readily accessible. At the peak of the pandemic in 2021, he performed tests at 4 quarantine hotels around Heathrow Airport. The entire sample-to-answer process took less than 90 minutes compared to around 4 hours for the PCR test, with the process conducted in the basement of one of the hotels using minimal equipment. Results showed that the new device gives results at least as accurate as the PCR test, but at a much lower cost, and can provide an early warning of disease in a community. Yang says the device is particularly useful for areas with limited resources because of its ease of use, low cost, and fast results. During COVID-19, we proved that fast community sewage analysis is a really effective way to track infectious diseases and help manage public health. In the future, it could potentially be used to track new variants and help to establish whether the variant is still spreading in the community, as well as monitoring antimicrobial resistance. Further development is being sponsored by the Leverhulme Trust Research Leadership Scheme and a grant from the Biotechnology and Biological Sciences Research Council. That is really cool. Basically taking a test that costs probably hundreds of dollars and making it $1. To Professor Zhugen Yang and all of his work on origami infectious disease detectors, cheers. Folks in the Facebook chat trying to unstick Lily. Menominum. Doo 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 doo. right. So that's going to get us out of science and technology. We're going to move on to category 3, flora and fauna, aka plants and animals. This first one is a little bit of a read, so bear with us. I called it Animal Crossing Ain't Just a Game, and by the way, Tom Nook won't break your ankles in this article. I will copy and paste this into the chat if y'all would like to read along. Oops. Kind of whacked my my mic there, my bad. Julie saying, yay, it's time for plants and animals, her favorite category. Colorado investing in wildlife crossings along Front Range Corridor. This article was posted on July 5th of 2024 by Katie Cheshire on Westward. And there were several other areas that it was posted. So, at the end of June, Colorado opened its first wildlife crossing on the Interstate 70 mountain corridor between Lookout Mountain and Genesee. The area around the underpass has the highest rate of wildlife vehicle collisions on I-70 east of the Eisenhower and Johnson tunnels. The goal of the new crossings is to reduce those crashes while still allowing wildlife to go from one side of the highway to the other. Across Colorado, wildlife vehicle collisions are estimated to cost the state $80 million a year. The Colorado Department of Transportation built the underpass as mitigation for the Floyd Hill expansion project, which is adding lanes to I-70 near Floyd Hill from west of Evergreen to Idaho Springs. Although this underpass isn't within the boundaries of the project, environmental evaluators determined that an underpass would have a bigger impact closer to Lookout Mountain. Julia Kinch, a wildlife crossing and connectivity expert with Eco Resolutions, has helped CDOT design such projects for years. She's seen that elk, deer, and coyote had all approached the highway in areas between Lookout Mountain and Genesee, but didn't have a way to cross. I remember thinking back then, gosh, this would be such a great location for a large underpass, but never really thinking that it was actually going to happen. And now it's there, Kinch says. Producer Donna saying Banff National Park in Canada has a ton of underpasses for wildlife, which is really cool. And yes, it is really good to see. Across Colorado's highways, there are over 100 structures that help wildlife navigate roads and connect to the environment on the other side. The infrastructure helps animals rebound from disruptions to their habitat from roadways. Overpasses, concrete culverts, underpasses, and bridges all contribute, as do 450 miles of fencing to direct animals to those structures rather than attempt at-grade crossings. Crossings usually include escape ramps made of dirt in case an animal somehow gets stuck between the fencing and the highway barriers. According to Michelle Cowardin, CPW's Wildlife Movement Coordinator, animals may not be able to get everything they need if a highway cuts off access to land. They could be separated from their winter range or others in their species, which could impact genetic diversity. CPW has been constructing crossing structures, but on different scales for probably upwards of 40 years, if not longer, Cowardin says. But they weren't always built as a system, or with adequate sizing, or with appropriate fencing to guide animals to use the structure. But that's changed in the past decade. The state's 3 wildlife overpasses have all been built since 2015. 2 are on State Highway 9, which connects I-70 to Steamboat Springs. According to Cowardin, the Highway 9 project was the first comprehensive crossing system in Colorado. The crossing system is 10 miles long and has 5 other places for wildlife to cross the highway in addition to the overpasses. It's still one of our largest systems in the state, Cowardin says. And it's been extremely successful, reducing wildlife vehicle collisions by over 90% since its completion. Mule deer made 112,000 successful crossings in 5 years after the system was built, Cowardin adds. That's the most ever documented in the United States, she says. Part of that is because that's winter range, so the State Highway 9 animals are in that area from late October through April, and they're making movements daily. Animals from Summit County, Grant County, and North Park have all used the Highway 9 crossing to reach their winter range. The success inspired the state to begin investing in other comprehensive wildlife crossing systems. CDOT and CPW hosted the inaugural Colorado Wildlife and Transportation Summit in 2017 before forming the Colorado Wildlife and Transportation Alliance in 2018. Along with the two state entities, the Southern Ute Tribe, Colorado Department of Natural Resources, U.S. Forest Service, U.S. Fish and Wildlife, and National Park Service, and many local recreational groups are involved. Previous design from producer Donna. Previous designs involved Canadian geese as crossing guards. None of the animals wanted to use them. Not a surprise, nothing wants to pick a fight with a Canadian snake goose, or snake bird, or evil devil bird. The Alliance identifies priority areas for crossing and determines how to maximize limited funding. Kinch helped author studies in 2019 and 2022 focusing on the western slope and the eastern slope and plains. They identified the top 5% of highway stretches that needed to be updated, looking at crashes, gaps in connectivity, and land ownership near highways. The existence of endangered species or species at risk was also considered, Cowardin says. The study's top priority areas account for 400 miles of roadway. In areas where CDOT is already planning construction projects for other reasons, the Alliance still works to identify how wildlife crossings could be implemented and how to accommodate impacted species. That is really cool. To everybody involved in Colorado with setting up brand new underpasses to provide animals with paths beneath highways and basically to safety and across the world for that. Cheers. On the Facebook chat, Eliza returned. I'm back like Bender, baby. Lily has fought the Canadian snake bird, the cobra chicken, according to Charlie. So, yeah, that's really cool. Michigan, Eliza added Michigan does need to step up with underpasses and animal crossings because we have a ton. We have a ton of animal impacts in our state. And, yeah, it'd be great to see an improvement in that. Hey, Ben. Ben has joined the Facebook chat. Post-LARP naps hit hard, bro. Buddy, I tried to nap. I couldn't. I don't know if I was just jazzed because of the event or because I was doing Nick's News or laundry. I don't know. All right, so that we're going to move on to our next article. I called this next one, Not All Heroes Bark Capes. I will copy and paste this into the chat if y'all want to read along. It's time for some pup-lifting feats. Ontario dogs are honored after saving their owners' lives. This comes from the Toronto Sun, and it was published on September 12th of 2024. And I'm trying to see who it was posted by, but I don't see a name attached. So just the Toronto Sun in general. Couple of good puppers. Here we go. Bear and Maggie May are good doggos. That's because their quick thinking helped save their owners' lives. Bear, a Siberian Husky and Golden Retriever mix, and boy, is that a goofy-looking dog that I would absolutely love to own. And Maggie May, a Red Fox Labrador Retriever, were honored this week by being inducted into the Purina Animal Hall of Fame's class of 2024. These incredible animals remind us that the bond between humans and their pets goes far beyond companionship. It's a partnership of trust, loyalty, and sometimes life-saving bravery. Jen Terra, a marketing vice president at Nestle Purina Pet Care Canada, said in a news release, "As pet people, we are proud to share these inspiring stories." Last October, Bear abruptly woke his owner Janice around 4 a.m. by howling and jumping on her in bed at their home in Bonfield, Ontario, east of North Bay. She noticed that her husband of 35 years, Darren, was not in bed with her. She followed Bear downstairs, where she found her husband unconscious in the family room, with Bear jumping on his chest. She immediately called paramedics, and Darren was rushed to a hospital where doctors discovered that he had suffered a heart attack. Once Darren woke up in hospital, doctors told him that he was likely unconscious for 3 hours, and Bear's repeated jumping on his chest was an effective form of CPR that kept him alive. That is bonkers. Bear, the offspring of 2 former service dogs, has always been Darren's closest companion, and he now calls him the family's furry hero who was born to serve. That is crazy. Meanwhile, Maggie May also came to the rescue of her owner, Martin, at the family's home in Gulf in March of 2023. After suffering heart failure months earlier, Martin spent his days recovering at home with Maggie May by his side. To help manage his new condition and lack of mobility, Martin had to take heart medication, and his wife Amy arranged a main floor bedroom for him. Then, on a cold March night, Maggie May alerted Amy, who was in the upstairs part of their house, and guided her downstairs, where she found Martin out of his bed and the back door unlocked and wide open. Amy followed Maggie May outside and found her husband in the middle of a snowdrift in a catatonic state. After calling 911, paramedics informed Amy that Martin's new medication likely caused hallucinations and made him disoriented, which caused him to go outside. Martin was stabilized at a hospital, and doctors said if Maggie May did not quickly alert Amy, Martin may not have survived the elements. Martin and Amy said they are grateful for their 9-year-old furry companion. They are such good puppers to Bear and Maggie May for rescuing their owners in times of need. Cheers. Eliza says, CPR puppers, best service doggos. Ben throws in good doggo in YouTube chat. Rive and Skyfire, wow, good doggo. Wow. Charlie throwing in, one of us. Just amazing animals. And producer Donna, of course, reminding us they are Canada puppers. That must be why they're so good. I called this next one the obligatory cat article. And this was sent in by Cassidy. Thank you, Cassidy. I will copy and paste this into the chats if y'all want to read along. People rush to save a cat, but can't leave his feline buddy who supports him every step of the way. This comes from Love Meow. It was posted on September 13th of 2024 by Amy Bojo. Kind people went to help a cat, but couldn't leave his feline buddy who supported him every step of the way. Gianna Cerrucci, the co-founder of Foster the Fur Babies, came across a rescue request seeking placement for a cat who needed specialized care beyond the shelter's capabilities. His back leg was missing its foot. They weren't sure exactly what happened to him. We've helped a lot of special needs kitties in the past, so I felt I needed to help him, Gianna shared with Love Meow. When she contacted the shelter and offered to take the cat named Arthur, she quickly learned he had come in with a feline buddy. They wanted to see if we would take her too. I couldn't say no, especially after I was sent a video of them cleaning each other. Arthur and his sister Muffy arrived with more issues than anticipated. The initial plan was to give Arthur the surgery he needed on his hind leg to improve his quality of life. But after being seen by a vet, both cats started treatment for pneumonia. Arthur was put in a cast until he was well enough for surgery. Meanwhile, they discovered an injury in one of his front legs that had started to heal itself. Despite what he'd endured, Arthur never ceased to love life, mustering his strength to fuel his body. His best friend, Muffy, was never more than a step away from his side, snuggling and grooming him like a protective guardian. These two are extremely sweet. Muffy was a little shy at first, but Arthur helped her come out of her shell so much and showed her that humans aren't so scary. He was so trusting of me as soon as I got him. Arthur is brave and adventurous despite having a cast on his leg. He doesn't let it faze him. Sticking close to Arthur, Muffy has helped him through many challenges, offering love and comfort at every turn. Muffy is a huge support system for her brother, and I can't imagine how sad Arthur would be if we didn't pull his sister from the shelter that day. They spend their day cuddling with each other, their legs gently intertwined. I've fostered hundreds of kitties and have never seen two cats so bonded. They love to be pet, and they especially love belly rubs. Arthur gets up and tries to circle around Gianna's legs the moment she enters the room, demanding immediate attention. Muffy follows suit by hopping up on her back legs and rubbing her face against her foster mom. Oh no, poor kitty from Julie, poor babies from Eliza. Thank goodness for kind people. You're going to start me getting misty and go snuggle Cassie or Kaylee from Julie, her two cats. And Charlie, go love on the kitties for me too. Mona say on the Facebook or on the YouTube chat saying she loves the dog story. I do too. I really did too. Back to this one. Despite all that they've been through, they are just so sweet and loving. With excellent care, good food, and comfort from each other, Arthur and Muffy are on the mend. They will never have to worry about tomorrow, with kind humans ensuring their future is bright and filled with love. Gianna is constantly awestruck by their unshakable bond. Arthur and Muffy are kindred spirits as if they instinctively know each other's thoughts and needs. After having gone through so much together, they can now focus on healing in a caring foster home. A few weeks ago, Gianna thought she was going to rescue one cat, but ended up with two instead. They're inseparable in helping each other thrive, the most beautiful outcome imaginable. And there are a couple of posts in the article, a couple of articles for the Instagram and Facebook posts for this if you want to check those out. But definitely to Arthur and Muffy and to Gianna Carucci for picking these two up together and keeping them together. Cheers. And to Cassidy for sending in this article, our obligatory cat article. Cheers. All right, so that gets us out of flora and fauna, aka plants and animals, and we are going to move on to our final category, the wholesome notes, the real touchy-feely articles that we like to end on. So, I took a quote out of this article to call this one, It Just Feels Right. It comes from Ed. Ed, thank you so much. Ed sent me a Washington Post article, but the Washington Post requires you to subscribe and sign up for it. I have nothing against signing up or subscribing for media, but I just didn't. So instead, I went and grabbed an NBC News version of this article. So Ed, thank you again for that Washington Post article, but I'm going to use the NBC News one because it's free. And I will copy and paste this in the chats if y'all want to read along. Got something in my eye. Chinese-American family meets descendants of the black couple who rented to them when no one would. Standing on their lawn, members of the Dong family waited to meet the great-grandkids of a black couple who rented a home to them a generation ago, when laws favored white residents. It was their first meeting on storied land. In 1939, Gus and Emma Thompson, a black entrepreneurial couple, agreed to rent and eventually sell the house they owned to the Dongs, a Chinese-American family. The Thompsons' decision touched off an upward trajectory in their lives, said Ron Dong, who's 87, who grew up in the house with his parents and 3 siblings. On Monday, the Dongs welcomed the Thompsons' great-grandchildren back to the home where their lives intersected. The meetup was ahead of a dedication ceremony to name San Diego State University's Black Resource Center after Emma and Gus, who was born into slavery in Kentucky. Oh my gosh, we are so glad to be meeting, Janice Dong, Ron's wife, told Ballinger Gardner Kemp, 77, and Lauren Kemp Few, 66, the Thompsons' great-grandchildren. The two families embraced in a tangle of open arms. To give credit, again, this version of the article is from NBC News. It was posted on September 17th of 2024 by Linda Lynn Grigsby. In March, the Dongs announced they were donating $5 million to black college students using proceeds from the sale of the house and the 8-unit apartment complex next door. It was a way to thank the Thompsons for helping them get established in American society, they said. Before the house sells, the Dongs wanted to give the Thompsons' great-grandchildren a tour. Walking through the 3-bedroom home, Few said she could feel her ancestors' presence. The living room was lined with pictures of her grandparents from a Coronado Historical Association exhibit about the city's black history. It's a bit overwhelming, Few said as she wiped away tears. When she heard about the Dongs' plan to donate proceeds from the sale to black college students, she was struck by their generosity. You don't hear about these things, she said. You just don't. The two families, who live out of state and in different California cities, returned to Coronado on Monday in honor of the couple who built the house. Later that day, the Dongs and Thompsons' great-grandchildren cut a ceremonial ribbon for the new center at SDSU. It's the American dream, said Lloyd Dong Jr., 82, Ron's younger brother. The Thompsons gave my parents a foundation to owning a house and sending their kids to college, he said. Selling the house and donating it to the black community for their education is a good thing. The Dongs' property, which includes the apartment complex next door, was listed for $8.5 million. The sale recently fell out of escrow. The Dongs are working with the Coronado Historic Resources Commission to determine the home's historic designation before they put it back on the market. His childhood home holds sentimental family memories, but no official historical value, Ron Dong said. To create more living space for the family of 6, his father, Lloyd Dong Sr., a gardener from Central California, made many changes to the house, including the front exterior. The walls once resonated with the sounds of Ron Dong's teenage friends enjoying home-cooked Chinese dishes made by his mother, Margaret. Now the house is mostly empty. The family held an estate sale to sell the pure vintage belongings, said Janice Dong, 87. The history of the house dates back to the late 19th century, when Gus Thompson traveled from Kentucky to California to work at the Hotel del Coronado. He built the house in the next-door barn on C Avenue in 1895, before the city's racial housing covenants restricted black residents and other people of color from buying or renting properties in the neighborhood. In what Kemp, his great-grandson, called the spirit of defiance and the resolve to help others, Thompson converted the upper level of the barn into a boarding house for the vulnerable. In 1955, Emma Thompson sold the Coronado home and the barn next door to the Dongs, who became the first Chinese-American family to purchase real estate in Coronado, said Kevin Ashley, a Coronado historian. It is a piece of land that since the 1890s has been owned only by either a black or a Chinese-American family, Ashley said. The Dong and Thompson families said they were both marginalized people trying to make it in a land that didn't see them as full citizens, so they supported each other. Now the Dong brothers are carrying on the spirit. The Thompsons and Dongs' decision to pay it forward, said Christopher Manning, SDSU's Vice President for Student Affairs and Campus Diversity, embodies the activist Grace Lee Boggs' words, "The only way to survive is by taking care of one another." The $5 million gift will be used to enhance the center's academic efforts, grow its mentorship program, advance support for mental health, and upgrade facilities, Manning said. At the dedication ceremony, Lloyd Jr. leaned against the square building sign with Thompson's name, watching students walk by with teal shirts emblazoned with the Thompsons' likeness. Nearby, Kemp leaned in to repeat words he first said at their meeting at the Coronado house. "Your parents would be so proud." Eliza saying kindness in action. Charlie following it up. This is beautiful. It is indeed. To the Dongs and the Thompsons that took them in, paying it forward, and to Ed for sending in this article. Cheers. I'm not crying. You're crying. This last one we have is a Not All Heroes Wear Capes follow-up. Sometimes it happens where there are follow-ups to articles that we do in Nick's News. This is one of those rare times, and I am happy to share the results of this. Some of you may remember on a previous episode, we covered a UPS driver that saved a woman who had fallen in her driveway and was having a medical emergency. And now we have an update to that article. So I am going to copy and paste this into the chat if y'all want to read along. And producer Donna letting me know it was the August 25th episode that we covered this initially. UPS driver saves collapsed grandmother, then brings her treats every week to hospital. She's family now. This one was posted on goodnewsnetwork.org on September 19th of 2024 by Andy Corbley. It turns out that angels sometimes wear brown. UPS driver Raheem Cooper was passing through his normal route in the Georgian town of Valdosta when he saw an elderly woman collapsed on her driveway. Calling emergency services, Cooper stayed with the woman, identified later as Marie Cobble. Is it Cobble? It's Cobble. Marie Cobble. All the while calling her grandmother. The woman was checked into the hospital where emergency brain surgery had to be performed on a subdural hematoma. She made it through the harrowing procedure and began the road to recovery in the hospital. Kayla Cochran, Coble's granddaughter, heard of what Cooper had done for her and managed to track him down. I found his number and called him and told him thank you, Cochran told WALB News. That he was truly an angel to our family to have found her, because if he wouldn't have, she would have died that day. 5 days after the surgery, she hadn't talked at all, Cochran said, and when he came into the room, she brightened up and actually pushed herself up and gave him a hug. That's the first time since this whole thing has happened. Following up, Cooper started a GoFundMe to raise money for the family, seeing as how members had to drive in from out of town to stay with Coble while she recovered. He just wants to lend a helping hand, he insists, and kicked the fund drive off with $100 of his own money. Earlier this week, Raheem Cooper received a letter from UPS's chief executive officer for his acts of heroism. At his local branch, a coworker got him tickets to the Florida State University football game, and the supervisor presented him with a plaque in his honor. Lily saying it's okay to cry, Nick, because I am on the verge of tears on this one. We also have the GoFundMe linked in our descriptions for the YouTube and the Facebook postings of this video. So if you want to go check those out and throw a couple bucks to the family members making the trips back and forth to visit mother, grandmother, whatever the case may be, that'd be fantastic. So definitely to Raheem Cooper, not all heroes wear capes, sir. Cheers. A lot of I'm not crying, you're crying going around with that one. So that's about it for our broadcast. I thank you all so much for tuning in or catching the replay on the Facebook or the YouTube page. Again, we're live every Sunday, and our next episode will be on September 29th, 2024 at 9 p.m. I encourage participation, so if you feel inclined, please by all means send in ideas for news brews, for shout-outs, for good news quotes, and especially articles that we can present on future episodes of Nick's News. You can either message us on Facebook or you can send emails to somebudgetstudios@gmail.com. I check it pretty much on a daily basis. It's fantastic. So by all means, reach out to us, send in ideas. We love them. Feel free to like, subscribe, comment if you want. I'm not going to tell you to do anything. I ask politely because we're trying to figure out how the algorithm works with getting good news in and spreading the joy that these good articles can bring. So I thank you all so much for any and every like, subscribe, comments, any support. Yeah, as always, thank you again. I love you all. Have a great night, and I am going to play us out.